Hi guys, welcome back to Gym Girls Unfiltered. We thought it was about time to do another Q&A. So each of us have a few questions written down that you guys asked us. So we're excited to get into it today. Let's start out with you, Caroline. What was your first question?
Yeah, so my first question was how I mentally handle, gaining weight, especially coming from, stepping on stage, being my leanest, and then really going into a growing phase. Because I know for a lot of people, it does scare them going into a growing phase. But for me, it really was a mindset thing. And yes, it's scary. And some days, I look in the mirror and I'm like, wow. But at the end of the day, I think it really comes down to my mindset and knowing that in order to get to where I want to be, whether your lifestyle and just wanting to grow muscle and just wanting to build, or you are a competitor and you are wanting to step on stage, you cannot be a better version of yourself, be more competitive, or build more muscle if you don't grow and eat more food. So I think it comes down to just, it being a mindset. And like I tell Kate all the time, really having that delayed gratification of what your end goal is, you're capable of getting back to being lean and seeing that definition. But in order to do that, you do have to put on lean muscle mass and grow and eat more to do that.
I guess I'll go next with that. To follow up, I think a lot of people, I used to do this. I would like almost identify myself with how my body looked. So once I got really lean the first time and then I needed to reverse up, I kind of started being like, well, what are other people going to think of me? And I talked to my sports psychologist about this. It's like almost like this fear of like other people thinking, oh, well, she fell off or she gave up. And honestly, changing my mindset around that and stop like caring what other people think is what helped me the most, because you can't stay lean forever, especially if you want to grow and be good. So it's like you have to keep yourself grounded in the long-term goal and what you want to accomplish in the long term, and staying lean and stay like stage leaning around, you're not going to get there. And like just focus on other things like feeling good, you're able to go out and enjoy life more. There's more like things to life than like what your body looks like. And honestly, for me, that's been the biggest.
I think that's so important too. And I think one of the little mindset things that help me with that too, going along with what Kate said, is focusing on how you feel too. Because when you are, shredded, super lean, or even if you're not a competitor and you've been in a fat loss phase for months and months and months on end, like approaching a year, and you're just so low energy, focus on how you feel and focus on how, like, once you increase your food, you're going to feel stronger again in the gym. You're going to have more energy throughout the day. And those are the things that I feel like when you focus on those, it's easier to wrap your head around, okay, this is where I need to be.
Yeah. Something else to add, I used to do it, and I feel like a lot of girls do this, is like you buy these clothes for like when you're lean, because your body does change and you need like different clothes sometimes. And when I was reversing out of my show last month, I kept trying to make my body fit into those same clothes, and I'd be like, it would mess with my head. So now, like a strategy I guess I have is I make my clothes fit my body for the stage and not my body try to fit in the clothes.
Love
That
it.
is so important. I love that. And I think that that kind of goes right into one of the questions that somebody asked me, if we're ready to move on. Are we ready to move on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought this one was really interesting. Somebody asked us, what did you tell yourself on days that you wanted to quit? And I think that this goes for, gosh, like literally every single person that is watching this right now, whether you're in prep for a bikini bodybuilding show, whether you have no aspiration to ever compete, but you're wanting to grow lean muscle, or maybe you're wanting to get a little bit leaner. Like, everybody has dealt with this on days that they want to quit, days that they want to show up. And the thing is that nothing changes if nothing changes. And that's the first thing. There's going to be days where it's hard. You don't want to, eat your meals. You don't want to show up and go to the gym and progress. You don't want to do these things that you know that you need to do to keep bettering yourself or working towards whatever goal you have in mind. But what I would tell myself is that try and control the controllables. And I feel like I talk about this so much on social media and with my one-on-one clients. I'm telling them this all the time. Control the controllables and everything falls into place. So there's going to be days like we were just talking about where you're picking yourself apart in the mirror, how your clothes fit, all these different types of things, that number on the scale. But what you can control is, hey, am I getting in my meals? Am I getting in my steps? Am I getting in my movement? Am I doing the things that I promised myself I would do to reach my goals? And if you're doing those things, there's no need to stress, right? there's no need to worry about, am I behind? Am I reaching my goals? So sometimes, are you not going to want to do it? And is that motivation not going to be there? Absolutely. But remember your why, and remember why you're doing these things and what you can do, even if it's just one little step. You don't have to be perfect every day. But I don't know, hopefully that helps somebody out there if you are struggling.
Yeah, want to bounce off of that?
Yeah, I was just going to say something that I really reflect on too is kind of like, what would my future self want me to do? And like really think about, you know, if I show up today, you know, am I getting better and being a better person than I am today? And I think that also comes back to like the comparison trap is like, it's honestly just comes down to you versus you. And are you showing up better than you showed up yesterday? So I think really reflecting on, honestly, coming from me, myself, my clients ask me all the time, I don't show up to the gym with motivation every single day. I love going to the gym. It is so fun for me. Like, it's my favorite hobby. But some days I don't want to go into the gym. I don't want to eat my meals. I want to do, you know, something else. But I also do tell myself, you know, discipline over motivation always. And I think that that's honestly something that we all live by.
Yeah. A big thing for me is I think about like, if I quit right now, what would I feel like tomorrow? Because like you're just gonna feel like failure. And I honestly can't even imagine like giving up or quitting and living with myself. I'd be like, why would I do that? Like I've come so far. Why would I quit now? And it's something I remind myself, and I do this a lot actually, like the pain and being tired is only temporary. Like it's gonna pass. The time's gonna pass anyways. Might as well like put everything into your goals. And like if you're really like down bad, go ahead, sit down, make a pros and cons list of separate into a column, put keep going or give up, and watch how many pros you have if you keep going. And I think a lot of people, they just expect things to be easy, and like days when you feel weak or tired, honestly, 90% of the time that's only a mindset. Feeling weak is only a mindset. If you just show up and give it your best, like you really can surprise yourself. Some of my clients, they'll be like, oh, strength plateaued this week. And yeah, sometimes strength does dip, but look at the fact, like, how's your energy? Are you like saying you're tired, or are you actually tired? Because there's a difference in thinking you're tired and actually being tired. But I think like just mentally hard days, like just remind yourself of why, like the end goal, and just tell yourself just to keep going.
Love it. Kate, what was your first question?
First question I have, and honestly, this could be an episode in itself, I feel like, but it was, what should I look for when choosing an online coach? And there's a lot of like points here I think we all can touch on, but one of the most important things is, what are your goals? Are you looking to compete? Are you looking for lifestyle? And then another point I wanted to touch on is, how do they communicate? Because I feel like a lot of people, especially girls, like they need someone like to kind of hold their hand. Or personally, I'm like, I just want someone to tell me what to do, and that's all I need. And it's really like, do you need someone that's gonna like keep you accountable, and like you need to check in multiple times throughout the week? And like when you text them, they're gonna reply instantly, like with a long paragraph. Or do you need someone that send in your check-in and they just send you like a straight up response, like, this is what we're gonna do it? And that's honestly what I like. I just like being told what to do. And sometimes I ask questions to my coach. He answers it perfectly. But usually, like our check-ins, I'm like, here's my check-in. Here's how this week was. He sends me back a voice memo. I'm like, sounds good. And I execute. Those are honestly the biggest things. I think it's important to know, like, what's your training going to look like? What's your nutrition going to look like? Are they going to work with you, like the training you like in your training style? Or are they like by the book, like they have only one way they do? And for nutrition, like, do they do meal plans? Do they do macros? Are they flexible with what you do and work with you? And then there was another point I wanted to talk about. Oh, their experience. What's their experience like? What will their pathways look like? I'm a big advocate. Like, if you're going to work with someone, reach out to clients they have, past clients, ask them about their experience, maybe ask them why they left, what they liked, what they didn't like. Those are the biggest things for me.
Yeah, I think that's super important. I think you touched on a lot of good things there too. And I don't know, this might be like a little bit of a hot take too, but hold on, I'll backtrack a little bit. I think when you're trying to find a coach, it really is a relationship at the end of the day. And like, different coaches are going to work for different people. And like, you really just need to find somebody that you click with and that you resonate with. Like what Kate was saying, all of those different factors are everybody's going to have different focus on those, but big picture, just make sure that you resonate with them. Like, this is somebody that you want to trust and you want to build a relationship with and really feel open with, and like feel like you guys can grow together. And my hot take was, I think that especially on social media now, there's a lot of bashing of coaches and different coaching styles and people leaving a coach. And absolutely, like, you have the right to leave a coach for any sort of reason. But I think people talk about, and maybe people won't agree with me on this, but I think people are like, oh, this coach sucks. This coach sucks. They're the worst. Like, all of these things. But really, I think that most coaches have people's best intentions, and maybe they just didn't click with a certain person, and maybe their protocols like weren't in line with somebody. So I think that, like, at the end of the day, you want to find somebody that you're comfortable with and that you agree with. Also, I think that there are a whole lot of coaches out there, and maybe they don't resonate with you. Like, I've had different coaches in the past, but I also don't think that any of them like had ill intent. And that could just be me being like naive, and that could be me just having great people that I've worked with in the past. But I think that everybody coaches a little bit different, and you are absolutely valid to move on to somebody else if you're not clicking with them. And I think that's the biggest thing to take away from this, is find somebody that you genuinely resonate with, that you're comfortable with. And like, once you find that, like, I've been with my coach for like 3 years. I have clients of mine that have been with me for over a year. Like, once you find that person, it's helpful for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree with all of that. And I think firsthand, I can kind of say that I just went through it. I was with my first coach, absolutely love her. She's amazing. I still talk to her on the daily, and she put me through prep, and it was great. I still stay in contact with her. I decided to go to another coach and then realized that there were other things that I needed to fix first and other goals I had, and she just wasn't able to do that, and I didn't feel aligned. And so I'm on to my next, and it happens, and now I'm where I need to be, and someone that can fix me and take me through prep and take me, through a growing phase and the whole journey. And nothing against either of those first two people. It's just what I needed at this moment in time. So
Yeah, I think a lot of people, like, if something doesn't go the right way or they're not happy, their first step is to like blame the coach. When sometimes like it's working together. And I think a lot of people are guilty of like coach hopping, like, oh, they didn't get me here, so I'm gonna go with this person. Oh, they didn't get me here, I'm gonna go with this person. But like Alani said, it takes time for one, the coach to learn your body, but two, for like actual results to show. And I recently, like, I had a couple coaches like in the span of a year, but only because like I just worked with them, I gave them my time, and I realized, oh, it's not a perfect fit. And like nothing bad happened from it. I just talked to them, I communicated my feelings, and it was a great like separation. But I think a lot of people like I think it's almost a defense mechanism. Like when they break up with a coach, they think it has to be something bad or like there has to be drama, and that's not always the case. And honestly, it shouldn't be the case. There, like Alani was saying, there is a lot of stuff I see on social media of like people bashing coaches because they put them through this protocol or they told them to do this. But also, like, as the athlete, it is your responsibility to do your own research. Just because someone tells you to do something does not mean you have to do it. You should be responsible, do your research, ask questions. That's the biggest thing. I love asking questions. I love educating myself. But just because your coach tells you to do something, if you're not fully like on board with it, do your research, learn about it, and give yourself knowledge around it before you just like fly off the wall. Just do it.
yeah, I think getting a coach is great, but the whole point is to, have someone to hold you accountable and tell you what to do. But as the athlete, you are the one that has to execute and put in the work. And if you're not doing it and it's not working, you can't blame your coach. They just give you the protocol.
I could not agree with that more. I think that's so important too. And that's something, even for myself, that I've gotten better about this past year, is I used to be like, where I think it takes a good athlete to have a coach tell you what to do, and you're like, yep, I'm going to execute on it. And I think us three, I think we're all good at that. And something that I've also like focused on this past year is kind of taking it and communicating back with my coach of like how I'm feeling, kind of taking a little bit of control over it too, and being like listening to my body, understanding what I need to do, and like giving him feedback as well. And I think once you're able to be open with your coach and understand what you need to do, like, hey, my energy is low, hey, this thing is happening, and taking an objective look and work together, I think that's when you're like flying.
Yeah, a big green flag, like I want to tell everyone, is hop on a call with your coach before you sign up. Because my coach now, it's my fourth coach I've had in like the past 3 years of doing this. He's the only coach that ever like was like, all right, let's hop on a call and talk about my program and what I can do for you. And I was like, no one's ever done that for me. He was the first coach I've ever hopped on the phone with. And for me, that was the biggest thing because it like almost started a relationship and I was able to personally ask him questions, kind of tell him where I was, what I wanted to do. And it was a Zoom recording, I think. And so he was able to like show me kind of how he sets up his plans. But I just felt so safe. And like, I instantly knew I was like, all right, this is my coach now and this is my coach forever. And like just having finally someone like I 100% trust has completely changed the game. Because in the past, I've stressed about like my own protocol for my coaches because I just didn't 100% trust them, and that's personally on me because I never asked like to hop on a call or like even make more effort to build that relationship, I guess.
Yeah, I asked Kate for some insight before I signed with the coach I'm with now, and she said reach out to some of his athletes and see what they think and get on a call. And when I hopped on a call, he showed me a Google spreadsheet of a client he's working with now and exactly what it looked like. And I reached out to, I think, 3 or 4 of his clients, and every single one of them had nothing but good things to say. And I hopped on a call, and then after that call, I signed with him. So I think really seeing and getting insight with them is going to be so much more valuable than just seeing their social media page or looking and seeing their athletes, because you don't know what anything internally looks like.
Yeah. I like
Awesome. Any more? We moving on to the next. All right. So my next question is kind of, and everyone will bounce off this, but what my current workout split is and what I'm doing for cardio currently. So first, I just want to preface, and I think this is something we can all, definitely talk about, is every single person's protocol is going to look different. No one's is going to be the same. And so that's why when, we get asked on the daily what our macros are or what we're doing, what I'm doing isn't going to work for anyone else. So right now I am on a 4-day split. I have a lower day, I have an upper day, a hamstring and glute day, and a full body day. And then right now I'm doing 4 times of moderate intensity cardio for 20 minutes a week. But that goes to say Alani's protocol and Kate's is going to be completely different from mine because it's not going to work for them. So that's like saying, if I eat what Alani eats or I eat what Kate eats, I'm going to look like them. And that's just not the case. I am 5 foot tall. Kate is 5'8". So that just goes to show, like, do what works for you and don't try and just copy and paste someone else's stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think that like if your lifestyle, I think there can be like similar things you want to focus on just overall. But like if you're competing, we are like literally building our physiques and our bodies for a certain criteria. And I think a lot of people like get in their mindset like, oh no, she does this, so I have to do this, or she does an exercise like this, so I have to do exercise like this. I worked out with a wellness competitor, Raven, a couple of days ago, and just like the way we squat is so different.
I saw that.
Yeah, and old me would be like, oh, she's doing this, I need to do it like this. But we have different goals. She needs to bring up overall leg development. I can't touch my quads. So like just the way I do my movements are very like particular, and they look funny. Like, I mean, I get bashed all the time by guys on TikTok, like, that's not how you squat. But for me and my goals, that's how I have to squat. And I think just like separating your emotional like connection with like, I'm told to do something like this, so I'm going to do it like this. And just understanding the why behind you're doing certain things has been like the biggest thing for me. Like understanding biomechanics and why I have to do my exercises like this. It like has changed everything for me. And I'm just like, I don't care what they say, like, because my butt's going to be bigger than theirs.
Yeah, I think it's crazy though, because even so, like Kate, you were saying, you're a bikini competitor, you worked out with Raven, who's a wellness, and both of you guys are doing different movements and different exercises, but it's crazy that like we all 3 are bikini athletes and none of our training looks the same, none of our days look the same. So that's like really crazy to me.
Yeah. And I think too, like Caroline, you work out 4 days a week. Me and Alani, I think we do 5, right, Alani?
Yeah.
And that's like totally person dependent. Caroline, I know you told me recently, like you used to do 5, but you went down to 4 and like you've grown more than you ever have. And like, that's amazing. And I think it's cool to kind of take like something from that. Like you don't have to do 5 days a week. There's a lot of value to like just doing 3 or 4, but it all comes down to like your training intensity and what your lifestyle looks like and what your body likes, honestly.
Yeah, I think that's like the big underlying thing too is like if you're focusing on the right things, you're gonna grow. And does that look different for every person? Absolutely. Like again, my macro targets, like how I'm eating is different than both of them, right? And if Kate were to just start following my macros, like it's not compatible that way. Like you have to figure out what you need to do for yourself and then continue to execute on that, right? Like even if like right now, okay, I'm training 5 times a week, I'm progressing in each of those, I'm hitting my meals. So it's so different for each person. But if you stay in your own lane and you focus on just not comparing yourself to other people, I think that's like the big mantra, and just stay the course, check your own boxes. That's how you're going to see the most growth.
Yeah, a lot of people ask me like what my split is, what my workout looks like, what my cardio looks like. There's a lot, but it's like I'm in a different phase right now. My goal is not necessarily to grow; it's to let my body heal. So my workout volume is down. My cardio isn't high. Of course, like I'm always learning before this. But like if someone's like really want to pack on muscle, they might need more like frequency than what I'm doing, or more sets, or they might need more cardio if they're in prep and want to lose weight. And I think it's just like educating yourself, like I said earlier, and then writing down what your goals are and then making a plan around that. And stop like getting all these like workouts on social media or doing what your favorite fitness influencer does, because one, they've probably been doing this way longer than you and they have different goals than you. They might not have to like work a job and they just like go work out for a living. And you might not do that. You might have a full-time job and have kids and only do it 2 times a week. So just understand like what aligns with your life and your goals and make a plan off of that.
Love it.
I agree. I think that kind of leads into my next question as well, because I was going to add to that a little bit. I think it also like really listen to your body and learn how to be in tune with those different types of things and understand what you need. Because again, like what Kate was saying and what Caroline was saying, depends on your lifestyle too. Like this is supposed to work for you and it's supposed to work for nobody else, right? Like just focus on what works for you. If your schedule allows for, and this is something that I tell a lot of my clients when they're onboarding, right? Like if I have somebody that's getting started with me and they're wanting to lose weight, build muscle, whatever that is, and they're like, in their lifestyle questionnaire, sometimes people will fill out and they'll be like, I could train, 5 to 6 times a week. And I take a look at their lifestyle, and right now they're working out, 2 times a week, 3 times a week. I'm going to take a look at that and be like, hey, let's get started. I would rather you work out 3 times a week. Let's build a plan around 3 times a week. That way you can stick to it and be consistent and grow in each of those, rather than you trying to do 5 times a week, 6 times a week, and never being consistent with it. But that was kind of a sidebar. My next question that I got asked was, how do you know if you're in maintenance and not in a deficit or surplus? I think this is such a great question because I'm such a nerd for all things nutrition, truly. And what you want to factor in is what your weight is doing over the average. I think that's like the biggest thing. And also your strength, right? I think those are the two biggest factors that you want to look at, because what happens with a lot of people, and this more so goes for like lifestyle people, if you're just trying to lose fat, whatever that is, if you like, some people will be like, oh, I'm in a deficit, and I'm not seeing that loss happen. A lot of times what's happening is something isn't getting captured. Maybe it's the weekends, maybe it's going out to eat, maybe it's the little things that aren't going tracked. So you feel like you're in a deficit, but if the moving average over each week, over each month, is that your weight is staying the same, then you are at maintenance. If the average is that you're increasing, you are in a surplus. If the average is that you're decreasing in your body weight over the average, I don't mean Monday to Tuesday. I don't even mean Monday to Monday. I mean average over time. That's how you know if you're in a deficit, if you're at maintenance, or if you're at a surplus. I really, 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 really like to stress the averages too, because weight fluctuations are so common. But anyway, I'm kind of getting like rambling on about that stuff. So I think the biggest thing, like for example, for me, I'm reversing out of the show. And my weight has been increasing at about like 2 pounds a month, right? So I know that even though my targets are a little bit below what I think my maintenance would be, I'm at maintenance because of, okay, I'm having some traveling. There's days where I have like an untracked day that pulls me up to maintenance a little bit. So I think that's the biggest thing to take into account objectively, is how to tell if you're at maintenance, in a deficit, or a surplus. With that being said, if you have been in a deficit for a long amount of time and you know that you need to be at least at maintenance to start growing, what I would start factoring in is, what is my strength doing? So if you're training each week and you're not progressing in your training, but your weight is still, coming up or whatever it is, you still need to be eating more. That's, I think, one of the biggest things that doesn't get talked about, is if in your training you are actively trying to progress in your weights or your reps and your strength is not coming up, then you need to be eating more. But anyways, I'll stop my rambling. What do you guys have to add to that?
No, I totally love that. And I actually really liked what you said about the average and all that stuff. Because what my clients kind of struggle with is they'll come to me and their weight has jumped up and they'll eat 4 meals out 3 times of the week. And I'm like, okay, well, let's think about this. You probably pulled yourself out of the deficit that you were in 3 out of those 7 days of the week. Well, that's why you are no longer in a deficit anymore and your body can't respond. So I think that that's really insightful for people who definitely struggle with, my calories are in a deficit, but I'm eating out 4 times a week. Well, then you're probably not in that deficit that you should be, and you're pulling yourself out so your body can't respond. But for me, honestly, I think it is really cool to find your maintenance calories, because even so, for example, I came to my past coach eating, I want to say like 1,500 calories, and I weighed around 115, which I'm 5 foot. So let's preface that. I posted my calories on my story the other week, like 2 weeks ago, and some girl slid up and was like, honey, you're eating such low calories. That's the weight I stepped on stage with. What's your coach doing? And I was like, okay, I'm 5 foot. Like, that's normal. So I just want to preface that. But with that being said, I now can eat I'm eating like 1,900 calories probably on average right now, and like staying stable around 113, and that's probably around where my maintenance is at. So I think the coolest part of it is really to see where your maintenance phase is at. And honestly, when you are first starting, it is kind of going to be a game to really figure out like what your maintenance calories are. But I think it really is cool.
Yeah, I think there's value in finding it, because it is kind of cool to like go back and compare it, because your maintenance calories are going to change like if you add more muscle or like with your activity and your metabolism. But also, like, there's value in finding your maintenance, because once you find your maintenance and you're kind of staying steady, you can adjust your calories down or adjust them up, like if your goal is to cut or if your goal is to grow. I feel like a lot of people, if their goal is to like stay at maintenance, because there's a lot of like value in staying at maintenance. Like, you can definitely get stronger, like small increases, and you also can improve your body composition drastically without even like going to a cut, like especially if you're new to the gym. But I think a lot of people think, oh, I'm hungry, I must be in a deficit, I need to increase my food. But like, if your weight isn't changing, that hunger might be like just in your head. Or you should be hungry. That means your digestion is great, that means your gut health is stellar. There's nothing wrong with being hungry, like as long as it's not like starving hungry. Hunger is actually a really good thing. But yeah, I think there's a lot of value in finding your maintenance.
Yeah, I think that's super important that you touched on there, Caitlin, too, is like hunger. I think, yeah, that's like something that can be kind of a gray area, but it is a really good indicator that your metabolism's in a good spot, especially as you're increasing food. As your hunger starts to come up, that's a really good sign. That's something that I'm taking a look at with my lifestyle clients, like where their hunger is, especially if we're in a reverse diet. I don't want to increase somebody's food a ton if their hunger hasn't come up yet, because it's a good sign that our metabolism is in a good spot, that you're digesting that food, that you're utilizing that food, right? That you're training hard enough to be utilizing that food as fuel. So I think that's something that doesn't really get talked about a lot, but it is important.
I think people think hunger is a bad thing, and it really isn't. Like, even in prep, I can't stand for like complaining about being hungry. You should be hungry. That means your body's should. But like, even in a growing season, like I'll have like guys at my gym be like, "Oh, I was hungry, so I increased my food by like 1,000 calories." And I'm like, dude, like there's a difference in just like increasing your food to do it because you're hungry, or like look and see if is your body actually utilizing this food, because if you're just throwing food in, you're just going to get fat. And there was a dude that came up to me and Raven at the gym this past week, and he was like, how much should I be eating? Like, I just increased my food to like some amazing amount of calories. And we're like, that's probably too much. And then I went to like this whole talk about insulin sensitivity. Like, you don't need to do that because you're just going to get fat. Like, people don't know, like, especially like young guys. So,
Yeah.
like, be hungry. Like, that's fine. If you're growing, you should be a little bit hungry. That means your digestion's in a good place. Your body's absorbing the food you're eating. Because I think gut health is so underrated. And I would love to do like a podcast on this later, like, I get more knowledge. But, like, if your gut isn't healthy and you're not absorbing your food, it's literally just sitting there, because our muscles have to be fueled and like to actually grow.
And I think that's also important what you said too, is like you don't ever want to be doing anything drastic. And I think as people, that's something that we want to do is, oh, something needs to change. Something needs to change. Like you said, that one person was like, I increased my food by 1,000 calories. Okay, even if eventually you need to be eating 1,000 more calories, you don't want to change everything at once. Like any time that you change something, it should be gradual. And I think that's, I don't know. I think that gets overlooked so much, is it's not changing overnight everything, but it's slowly increasing food, slowly decreasing food, slowly increasing steps, whatever it is. You want to do things incrementally.
I think people need almost like constant to find like
Yeah.
motivation almost. But honestly, like changing things constantly is never a good sign. That means like either you don't know what the heck you're doing, or your coach just doesn't know what the heck you're doing. Unless you're like in prep as a show, things change constantly. But like my plan right now, like we built my plan. My plan hasn't changed in like 3-4 weeks now. And even before that, I was like on the same meal plan for 2 months. And like I still made progress. I still grew. I've been doing this training program since April now. I'm still loving it. I'm still progressing.
Love it.
I think we'll get to our last question now. Let me see what it was. I already forgot. My second question. Oh, well, this is kind of similar. This is, how do I know when it's time to increase my calories for growth? So I guess
Okay, pick another one. Pick another one.
oh gosh. Let's see. Let me go back to my Q&A box. A lot of them were about like food and growing.
Everyone wants the Kate magic.
I don't know about that. Okay, someone asked me, how are you handling the gut health protocol? But I think for like a question for all of us, how are we handling the current phase we're in? Maybe that would be like a good topic.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like that.
I guess I'll go first. How am I handling my gut health protocol? So if you guys like have listened previously, I've talked about it on my Instagram too. I have SIBO, I have the presence of H. pylori, and I have Candida, and pretty much like an overgrowth of bacteria plus an undergrowth of like good bacteria. And right now my carbs are super low, which is something I've never done. My fats are super low, and my food's like 100 calories, which is honestly low for me. And if I'm being honest, I don't know if my carbs are like even this low in prep, but my body's pretty much utilizing the fat right now. And it was a hard adjustment. For a week and a half, I was just like down bad mentally. Like my body was changing. In the gym, I felt like I was like I felt just like super sluggish, super fatigued, and I don't know. It was really hard on my mental, and a lot of it was like kind of regret and almost like regretting all the time. Like this past year since my last show, like I was like I could have been fixing this instead. Like I was just making this worse by like all the food, because the carbs I was eating was something Candida I have in my gut, and I wasn't absorbing anything. So I was like, did I just wait for the year? It almost was like the fear of like, what if like I'm just like stuck like this? So I talked to my coach, like sports psychologist, and having just people in her corner that did it, like they really made a drastic change. And I wouldn't be here without them. And Dave, my sports psychologist, asked me this question. So hopefully he listens. But I think just kind of looking at like, not like what if I would have done something differently, but like look at the future, like what am I going to feel like if I'm doing this, and look at it as a positive thing. But I guess how I'm feeling now after like my week crash out and like talking to Babe is I'm just so like hopeful and happy and I'm feeling good. Like I'm getting stronger even though like I am hungry. Like I do feel like definitely stronger, feeling better. I feel like my skin looks better than it's ever looked. And I don't know. I feel just hopeful, just really excited. I'm only in week 3, and I even posted something last night at workout after work. That was the best I've ever felt about my body going after a 12-hour shift. My muscles actually felt kind of full. I didn't like feel like super bloated or anything. I didn't feel after work. And I don't know. I just feel strong, and I just feel like I'm mentally healthy, which is always a good thing.
Love it. I guess I'll go next, just bouncing off of Kate. So I'm actually on a little bit of gut and hormone protocol as well right now. I just started with a new coach because of it. So I don't have like the extent to what Kate has, which is honestly so amazing. But I do have a little bit of gut stress, which is impacting my thyroid function and my hormonal clearance. So with that being said, my food's just a little bit lower now than it was, but none of my meal plans changed. And then I'm on 4 days of training still. And then I do have some supplements. So what I'll do is I'm kind of going through 3 phases right now. So I'll prep my gut, I'll clear my gut, and then I'll actually grow and build and be able to go through prep. So right now I'm not taking like a ton of supplements. Phase 2 is where they really will amp up and kick up. But I think that I'm feeling really good. Like Kate said, kind of like hopeful because I went through my last prep and didn't have a cycle and then got my food super high, hoping to get it back and still didn't get it back. I get so much rest and recovery. So it was kind of just frustrating knowing that I was doing everything I could and nothing was changing. So with that being said, I do feel like my coach is the best and has a super solid plan and path for me. And I think knowing that I actually have answers now as to what's going on and a path to fix it, it does suck. I wish that I was, able to really grow right now and do what I wanted, but knowing that I do have answers, I do have a path, and, down the road, all of this is going to be so valuable and worth it. And I'm going to learn so much about me and my journey. I think that, knowing that, again, there is answers and there will be an ending to this, and I will be able to get the results I want and step on stage next time to my full potential because to be honest, obviously I didn't this last prep since I didn't have a cycle. So just knowing that like there is a light at the end of the tunnel is probably the best way to put it.
I think that's so important. And yeah, for me, I mean, I'm in my I guess still technically like reverse diet phase, and like it's weird, seeing the lines fade and everything that we were talking about in the past where it's like, okay, we're focusing on growing, and sometimes that can be hard mentally, but I think honestly right now I'm enjoying being stronger every week. I've been so intentional in my training about like writing down, okay, how much weight am I doing? How many reps am I doing? And every single week I've been able to beat myself. I mean, all of prep, it's like you feel weak, and you're just trying to keep your intensity up. And now that I have like more food in me, I have more fuel, I have more energy, I'm able to really progress in my training, and my strength has been like so much higher. And I think that's been such a fun thing. It's kind of like a game. I feel like I'm playing a game with myself each week. It's like, okay, can I beat myself from last time? And I think that's that little bit of competitiveness in me. But I think that it can be hard some days to be like, oh, you're not shredded. But like I was talking about earlier in the podcast, focusing on how I feel every day and just focusing on how much more my strength has come up. And like what Kate said, focusing on the long-term goal. I'm doing things that are going to make future me proud, and it's exciting. But
Yeah, we're all going through change right now, and that's scary. And I feel like as bodybuilders, we're all very top A, and honestly, we like things to know. Like we like our structure, and change that comes with like doing new things and having new routines and structure. And I think instead of like being fearful about that, I think we're all taking a good approach, and like we've all had to work on this mentally. I feel like we've all kind of been going through it these last couple minutes. But having each other and having a good support system really helps you build like a better mindset around it all. And that's honestly important. It's like no matter what phase or like phase you're going through, like there's hope, and just find the delayed gratification and remind yourself why you're doing something. And like even though it's hard and like even though it's like different, like there's positives around it. And like I'm learning so much about myself right now, and I wasn't expecting that almost. I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna go on this. It's gonna suck. But now I'm like kind of like, okay, this is honestly probably one of the hardest things I'll ever do. Like this prep because my food is lower. I'm not like eating the food I love what I'm eating, but like I don't like get carbs. Like I don't get any. And like that stuff like I was having to prep because I'm not seeing like the physique changes. So it's always testing my own mindset, like finding like I'm loving myself more. I feel like the internal version of me instead of like just going into the gym and finding value and happiness in how I look. Like I'm just value in my health and how I feel instead of like how I look wise.
Love it.
Gosh, I feel like this was a really good one today. I think we really nailed like the mindset side of stuff, which I feel like is really hard. And I feel like all three of us have learned so much. So hopefully you guys took away something from that. And I don't know, this was a fun one, guys.
I know we just talked for a while.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we will see you guys in the next episode. I think it'd be fun to, like we love doing these little Q&As like once a month or so. So it's been fun. Keep asking us your questions so that we know that we can be answering what you guys want to hear. But we will see you every Monday at 5 a.m. on all your favorite podcast places and on YouTube if you want to see our faces. So we'll see you guys next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.